Now let's head to Nigeria, where President Muhammadu Buhari continues to remain firm in his stance against the devaluation of the Naira. Now, Buhari and CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, who meet at least weekly, say that the Naira is fairly valued on the official market and that letting it drop would only harm poor Nigerians by pushing up prices. Well, pundits believe that history is repeating itself in Nigeria, as it's not the first time Buhari has resisted a devaluation. Now, during his first stint in power in the 1980s, when oil prices had just crashed, he ignored advice to depreciate the currency and refused financial assistance from the International Monetary Fund. Some investors and analysts have criticized the position as making little economic sense. Well, let's get some insights into how this is affecting investor confidence and, of course, the country as a whole. Deji Badmus now joins us in Lagos. Deji, welcome to the show. Now, of course, everybody is sort of criticizing Buhari for his firm stance on, of course, not devaluing the Naira. What is Buhari's reason for digging in his heels on this issue? And is this decision more political than economic, of course, when it comes to currency policy?
Well, first of all, Uche, I should say not everybody is criticizing Buhari. There are quite a number of people who are supporting him. For instance, the labor unions in this country are supporting him, and quite a number of people supporting him locally, especially. And well, in terms of whether the decision not to devalue is political or economic, I would say it's a mix of both. It's both political and economic. For instance, Buhari does not want to be seen by Nigerians to be the president who devalued the currency to a very, well, some people would say, who killed the Nigerian currency. And, when he was campaigning, he made the point that he was not going to devalue and that, as a matter of fact, he was going to shore up the value of the Naira, even though that has not happened. Now, it is also economic because the president has been saying one of the reasons why he is not in favor of devaluation is that devaluation would not help Nigeria at all, that Nigeria is not really an export-oriented country. Other than oil, which, of course, as you know, the price is really down now, we do not export anything much at all. So he says devaluing the currency would have made much sense if Nigeria was an export country and that we were exporting so much, that way you'd be able to help Nigerian export, but that is not the case. And besides, something also very important. In 2014 or 2015, we had 2 rounds of devaluation. And you know what? The benefits, the president has said he has not seen the benefit of that at all. And that, look, you cannot continue to devalue your currency because, I mean, it's got to stop at some point, Uche.
Well, Deji, before we get further into that, let's get a look at how this is affecting investor confidence. And we have Jean Urman actually joining us in London. Jean, welcome to the show. She's actually joining us from New York. Now, Jean, to what extent has President Buhari's resistance to devalue the Naira impacted investor confidence in the country? And of course, to what extent are foreign players backing out of Nigeria?
Well, there's no doubt that foreign stock and bond market investors have become reluctant to put money into Nigeria because many assume that the Naira will eventually have to be devalued. Nigeria was already excluded from JP Morgan and Barclays key bond indices last year. Now, index provider MSCI, for instance, is looking to make a decision about whether to keep Nigeria in its Frontier Markets Index. That decision is expected on April 29th. And market watchers say if it is excluded, that will create an even higher hurdle for attracting future investments because there would be no need for passive frontier market funds to hold Nigerian stocks, which will really make it difficult to attract private sector investors. And to give you a sense of it in terms of dollars, right now about $480 million of MSCI's benchmark money is in Nigeria.
Well, Deji, let me get a sense from you. Some analysts say that devaluation is inevitable. Some say that predicting that devaluation will take place before the 3rd quarter of this year. Some are backing out of that position. Now, what is the expectation in terms of devaluation going forward?
I think those who are saying devaluation will take place in the 3rd quarter of this year maybe getting it wrong, because let's face it, before now, some people had said it was going to happen in the first quarter. Of course, the president stuck to his guns. It didn't happen. The CBN too maintained its position that it's not going to happen. Some people now predicted the second quarter. Now some people are predicting the third quarter. It's difficult to tell, but you know, if we were to judge by antecedents, I do not see. It would take a lot to convince this government to devalue, especially when you also consider the fact that the government is now trying to reach out to you know, countries like China. For instance, the president was in China recently. Of course, you're aware of the currency swap deal. The general impression in the country, and that's what the government is telling everyone, is that you know, with the currency swap deal, the pressure on the dollar would go down, and that, you know, by the time that policy comes on stream, it would help to shore up the value of the naira, and you know, we could see a drop-off now in this huge demand for the dollar. So I cannot confidently tell you that President Buhari would devalue, you know, the naira, say, in the third quarter, not even in the fourth quarter. We're not absolutely sure what is going to happen. The president has continued to maintain that he doesn't see any sense at all in devaluation. We just have to wait and see. But the general expectation in the country, I should say, Uche, is that the president would not devalue, and quite a number of people support his position, especially the labor unions in this country.
Now, Jean, in New York, looking forward, if we look at this politically, do investors at least have confidence in Buhari's administration and, of course, his anti-corruption stance?
Well, investors, they do have confidence to an extent. I mean, like many other people, they applaud Buhari's efforts to snuff out corruption, and it's hard not to support that. However, whether you applaud him or not, the argument is that he's kind of running out of time. You know, investors most likely understand Buhari's concerns that devaluing the naira would be painful, potentially making imports expensive for the country's people, for instance. But at the same time, investors are about investing, you know, making money. And with all the mounting reports of businesses unable to get foreign exchange to buy spare parts, or stores unable to buy goods and so on, they're growing impatient and therefore perhaps less confident in Buhari's administration.
Well, Jean, thank you so much for those insights. Deji as well. Jean Yurman joining us in New York and Deji Badmus in Lagos.